Alright, Chapter 12, Section 12, Other Welding Processes. Alright, resistant welding. Resistant welding is a type of the welding process which waits for the workplace that are heated with the passage of the electrical current through the air of the welding area of the contact. Such process includes spot seam projection, upset flash welding. Alright, spot welding. Resistant welding seen with the coherency produced the heat obtained with the resistant flow of the electric current through the workpiece held together under pressure electrode of the size and shape of the individually formal welds limited primarily to the side of the contour of the electrode. Spot welding is particularly adaptable to thin sheet metal construction. It has many applications. The type of the work and spot welding principle illustrated in Figure 1250. Primary lead for the current source of current supply, laminated core, secondary winding electrodes, and weld. Roll spot weld. The resistant welding process with the separated with the spot weld made without retracting the electrode with accomplished with the mean with the circular electrode continuous contact with the work. Seam weld. The resistant welding process with the coherency with the produce with the heat with the time with the resistant flow with the electrical current through the workpiece with the held together under the pressure rotating circular with electric resulting of the weld and shear of the overlapping spot weld made progressively along the joint lap and flat joints over in can buckets and tank mufflers are commonly welded in process. Projection weld the process of the coherency produced with the heat obtained with the resistant flow of electrical current through the workpiece that are held together under the pressure of the electrode resulting weld localized and predetermined points of the design parts of the welding with localization is usually accomplished with rejection, embossments, and intersection possibly. A process is commonly assembled in punch or formed or stamped parts. Upset welding, this resistant process with the use of the coherency produced simultaneously over the entire area of the budding of the strip of the provided progressively along the joint and the heat obtained with the resistance of the flow of electrical current through the area of the contact with the strip of the pressure is applied with it before heating. The area is started maintained throughout the heating period. Upset is accompanied with expulsion of the metal of the joint. A figure of 1251. Flash welding, the flash welding resistance of the schematic of the upset and flash welding. Flash welding is a resistant process of the wearing the coherency produced simultaneously over the entire area of the budding strip by heating obtaining the resistant flow of electrical current between the two surfaces of the application of the pressure after heating caused by flashing substantially complete with the final application of the pressure accompanied with the expulsion to metal from the joint. Percussion welding is the weld is made with the simultaneous over the entire of the budding strip of the heat obtained within the arc. The arc is produced rapid discharge of electrical energy extinguished by pressure applied with the percussively during the discharge. Alright, your welding procedure. Operation of spot seam with a projection welding involved the use of the electrical current with the proper magnitude with the correct length of the tire of the crank over the time factor must be coordinated with the base metal with the confined air with the raised for the melting point with the resolidified and under the pressure for the temperature for the obtained with the temperature of the obtained must be sufficient to ensure the fusion of the metal base metal elements with the not so high that to melt the force with the weld is done with the pressure of the applied. If the upsetting of the surface of the weld that are brought within close contact with the end of the pressure welding heat is retained with the resistance of the flow of the current through the air with the contact of the budding surface when sufficient high temperature of the the welding of the surface is achieved by upsetting the application for the high pressure. In flash welding, B figure 1251 with the fusing of the part of the accomplished with the three steps of the surface that's being joined are brought together in light pressure and separately slightly allowing arc to occur with the smaller the arc begin with it brings the metals to their melting points. The separated then final operation the molten surface of the force together under heavy pressure with this meat with the molten metal slag thrown out with the clean fusion obtained. Spot welding magnesium. General magnesium can be joined with the spot seam, the flash welding, but the spot welding must be widely used. The spot welding is used mostly, and the assembly subject to the low strength of they are not subject to the vibration welding of the dissimilar metals. The spot welding process should be avoided, especially if they are alloys or work with marked definitely properties. Welding current. Generally, the alternating current and direct current can be used with the spot welding magnesium. High currents and short welding variation recorded with the both alternating current and direct current. Spot welders has sufficient capacity to provide the current control of the current necessary for the application of the process. The alternating current machine, the alternating current spot machine will equip with the electronic synchronizing timer to heat control of the phase shifting device of the control welding time of the current is suitable for the welding of the magnesium. The type of the machine is used with a single phase, three phase, and dry disc rectifier. Your direct current machine's electrostatic and the discharge type of the mostly widely used with the direct current machine with the magnesium weld with the latent demand, but the type of the equipment may be used with the highest 5 kilovolt amps. One welding sheet, approximately 1/8 of an inch thick, electromagnetic machine is used and with the require low pressure to apply with electrodes during welding and electrostatic equipment. Electrodes for spot welding machines should be made with a high conductivity copper alloys conforming to the resistant welder machine association specification. Hard roller copper can be used with a specific offset of the electrode. Desired electrodes should be water cooled, but at every point where the condensation will take place, intermittent water flow supplied only with a weld made consistent with the maintenance of the constant tip of the temperature. Most common tips are dome and the tip radii curvature ranging from 2 to 8 inches, depending on the steel sheet thickness. 4 degrees flat tips frequently used. Flat tips of diameter 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch are used on the side of the worker's surface to be essentially with the free of marks. The contact surface of the electrodes must be kept clean and smooth. Alright, cleaning. The magnesium sheath for the spot welding should be purchased in an oil coating rather than the chrome pickle finish. The pickle surfacing and hard to clean with spots of welding because of the surface etching. Satisfactory cleaning with a combination of either chemical or mechanical means. Mechanical cleaning is used where the number of parts are cleaned but does not justify cleaning chemical cleaning settings. Setup. Stainless steel wool, stainless steel wire brush, aluminum oxide cloth, cloth are used for this purpose. Ordinary steel wool wire brush leave metallic metal particles should not be used because of the magnetic field created with the tip of the will or attract these particles. Chemical cleaning is recommended with a high productivity. Chemical provides consistently low surface resistant, resulting in more uniform weld with approximately double the number of the spots between the tip of the cleanings. Allowable time between the cleaning and the welding is also much larger. Chemical cleaning can be welded up to 100 hours after cleaning, while mechanized cleaning parts should be welded at once. Alright, machine setting of the spot welding on the machine operation requiring accurate current time in the welding force, and therefore the adjusting of the welding to machine with the proper set of the most important step of the production. Strong, consistent weld the welding machine manufacturer operators instructions should be followed closely. Recommended spacing, edging distances are given in table 1210. Alright, pressure. Welding pressure are usually established first using the linear current with the capacity of the voltage of the value of the recommended with the high pressure provided with a greater latitude that the currents can be used in production, and silent welds must be limited excessive sheet preparation inside of the electrodes. After approximate pressure of the proper weld time of the voltage, welding current capacity should be determined to obtain of the weld of the desired side of the string with the maximum weld side of the too small cracking encountered. It may be necessary to increase the pressure current possibility of the weld time after all the settings are fixed for the whole the time of the needed adjustment to make it certain that then the pressure will maintain with the welded solidification complete. Insufficient hold time will result in the porous weld with normally indicated by cracking with the sum during contraction of the welded. The trial welds should be made in a material the same gauge alloy hardness surface preparation of this metal with be welded. Test welds between strips crossed at the right angles are useful in determining the proper weld condition, but because they can easily twist it apart. Spot weld and seam welds procedure for the titanium. Titanium alloys very similar than those of the other metals. Welds can be made over the wide range of conditions. Special shield is not required. Short welding times and proximity with the surface being joined prevent embrittlement of the welds and contaminating from the air. Spot seaming the weld, the conditions which have the greatest effect of the weld, the quality of the welding, current time with the variation of the condition of the diameter, strength of the preparation, and indentation of the spot weld shaking and appreciable electrode tip, radium, and electrical force. So they have some of the effect of the properties for each of the application welding conditions established, and depending on the thickness being welded, properties desired. Most experience of the spot welding is available from the test commercial period with the titanium. And tests of welding conditions vary considerably in the difficulty to determine the optimum spot welding condition for various sheet gauges. On the major problems encountered with excessive welded penetration, however, the penetration can be controlled by selecting suitable welding current and time. Experience of the will some of the high strength of the alpha beta alloys have shown the post-weld heat treatment the beneficial spot seam weld ductility of the procedures having been developed in the heat treat these welds in the machine. The serve furnace heat treatments for the oxyacetylene torch may be used to heat the treat spot welds. Specifications have been established for spot weld seam welds commercially with the pure titanium. Quality control is more than specification. Steel, stainless steel with a suitable minimum edge distance and spotting spaces are listed in table 12, 11. They are same spot spacing, edge distance, and specified spot seals. And then you have your flash weld titanium flash welding procedure with the titanium cylinder with the nose for the other metal within case of the spot and seam welding spaces. Special shielding is not necessary with the produce satisfactory flash welds. However, the inert gas shielding has been used to increase the possibility of the weld of contamination, increase the ductility for many of the high strength alloy post-weld heat treatments required to prevent cracking and improve the weld ductility. These welds are transferred with the furnace of the heat treatment. Flash weld conditions have varied considerably. However, the short flash cycle with the flash upset speeds of the nose of the aluminum generally employ with the upset cycle with the probably the most important variable because of its effect of the expulsion of the contaminated metal from the joint. In some cases, the high strength of the alpha beta alloys superior result were obtained by intermediate pressures at 8,000 to 10,000 psi. No high upset pressures result of the high residual stress in the edge may cause the occurrence of microfissures, hard weld zones in these alloys. Adopted specification require the tensile strength of the welded area with a flash weld joint, 95% of the parent metal elongation through the welded area, 50% minimum of the parent metal of the proper welding procedure post-weld treatment. Flash welding titanium proper must be the titanium alloys can be held into this criteria. And then chapter 13.